Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Boakai, to educate, elevate, and promote. Yeah, focus on Liberia. For Liberia, Liberia. For Liberia, yeah. From Monday to Sunday. From Monday to Sunday. It's focus on Liberia. Talk about home affairs. Hey. In diaspora. Current affairs. Hey. Reliable information. History. Ooh. Talking about culture. Yeah. Politics. Education. Entertainment. Yeah. Business. Sports. Advertisement. Articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday. Focus on.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Friday Night Debate on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jaya, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In tonight's edition of Focus on Liberia Friday Night Debate, we're going to be looking at what President Joseph Newman Boakai inherited from President George Manuel Weah. What did he inherit? What kind of country did he inherit? And what is he doing with it? Is he making things better, making things worse, or things still the same? We're going to be evaluating that. But before we start that, we're going to be reflecting on April 12, 1980. Today is 44 years since President Tobert was assassinated in a bloody coup. Let me welcome for the first time on Focus on Liberia, Mr. Francis Jabate, word of mouth, that's his podcast. Welcome, Francis. We're glad to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Great. Let me also welcome Father Elijah Washington. He's a regular panelist here on Friday Night Debate. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Jai. It's a privilege, and I'm honored to for these illustrious sons of our country. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me also welcome Mr. J. Victor Namwe. His colleagues at work call him Nambi. Mr. Victor Namwe is a longtime UPP member. He crossed to CPP during the election, and now he's back to UPP. Now things are normal. Welcome, sir.
Hey, Dennis. It's good to be here.
Let me welcome Mr. Aliyu Samba Kamara. He's he calls himself the son of President Joseph Newman Boakai, a strong Boakai supporter, he calls himself. Welcome, Aliyu.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Joseph Boakai is not only a traditional uncle of mine, but he's actually a real uncle that I can look up to in terms of how I can guide myself moving forward. You know, he's such a wonderful person, a person of example, impeccable character. And by the way, Victor Nangwe is trying to make his way to the Unity Party, but nobody trying to let him in. So just so you know.
But does that personal relationship with President Boakai, would that have impact on your views tonight?
No, not at all. I have relatives. Let me give you this example. It'll be very short. I have an uncle named Mohammed. I know him. We grew up together. A couple of years different in age. He wanted to be the representative of district number 8, where Akara Gray was. At that time in 2005, I ran campaign against him, and this is my biological uncle.
Thank you. Let me welcome Mr. Jimmy Eastman. He's the host of Breaking News right here on Focus on Liberia. He's joining us from the nation's capital. Welcome, Jimmy.
Thank you, Dennis. It's an honor to be here with these distinguished gentlemen. I hope we have a riveting conversation.
Thank you. Let me also welcome for the first time on Focus on Liberia, Mr. James Sewala Kennedy, who's joining us from Texas. Welcome, James.
Thank you very much, and I'm glad to be here with all these political gladiators who are prepared to take us through the night. I'm here to listen and contribute in whatever way we can. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Last and definitely not the least, let me welcome the unapologetic, the unabashed sedition, Mr. Jerome Gilman. He's the host of On Point right here on Focus on Liberia. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be with you. Today is April 12th, a very historic day for us to be here. What a day it's going to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me welcome all our viewers from across the globe. When it's Friday night debate, and this is where we debate current issues. I want to say for the first time, Mr. Jabate and Mr. Kennedy, let me extend to you a bottle of water to say welcome and feel at home. Focus on Liberia is where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. Well, gentlemen, as I said earlier, it's been 44 years since President Turbo was assassinated in a coup. And for those who may forget, let me bring you up to speed. On April 12, 1980, these guys, headed by Sergeant Samuel Doe, you see with him there is Thomas Wesson, I see J. Nicholas Podium. These people came together and they overthrew President Turbo in a coup. And as a result of that, President Turbo was killed on April 12, and then 10 days later, 13 of his cabinet ministers were summarily executed on the beach. This is the place where they were executed is where we have the park today at PHP. If you can see, that was the PRC first cabinet. Just to give you a little history there, you see the cabinet on the right, and then on the left there you see, the early days of the PRC. If you can recognize some folks there. So I will start by going around the room. Last week, talk about your reflection on April 12, 1980. Many things have happened since that time. April 12 is still being debated in Liberian history, or in all Liberian cycles, as did it change Liberia for better or for worse? But one thing we all agree on is because of April 12, it has changed the history of Liberia forever. Let's go around the room, starting with Mr. Jimmy Eastman. Jimmy, April 12, 1980. First, where were you and what you make of the day, and vis-a-vis where we are as a people?
I thank you for the honor. I think I'm about the oldest here, and I still remember April 12th like yesterday. I was at a place right near Cavalry Hospital called France Garden. I was partying, and this guy, Gus Major, ran from in town telling us they are shooting at the mansion and they have killed Talbot. This was about 11, 12 o'clock in the night when he came with that news. Immediately, the place shut down and we went home. And when I went home, I could see with my own eyes the bullets flying over the mansion and hear a lot of noise. I was living in Cinco, not far from JFK. The next day, I went to see what was going on, and it was something to behold. There were dragon statues. The popular song in that time on the radio was, "We want to know who owned the land." That was ringing all day long. And when you go in the streets, you hear the crowd, "Native woman born soldier, Congo woman born dog." And it was intense, and I had to write up on this to send to other people abroad, and it was nothing I could even fathom before. You see, before this day, we looked ourselves more like the way we thought, because we didn't look. I would not know who my friend's tribe was because it didn't matter. It was more about how you think, what you do. But this brought to light the difference, the stark difference of how some people felt that, there was an oppressive regime by an ethnic group, It wasn't that it was a political system, but it was they looked at it more like an ethnic group that was doing it. So there were a lot of things that you succeed in the following days, and a lot of injustices went on. I can tell you that the Americans had to reel in some of the people that were doing stuff. They were doing all kinds of stuff. The soldiers were out ruling. Those days, if you're a soldier, you were the law and God in it. And you could do anything, you could say anything. And that's how it was for a couple of days. But eventually, the dual regime, they established authority over everybody. It wasn't a free for all. And once they regained that authority, which was very important, then the place calmed down. But the last thing I want to leave you with that
quickly.
It's unfortunate that the revolution excluded some people from misdoing simply because of their ethnic background. I think that's where the impunity started. If somebody's wrong, they're wrong. I don't care where they're from. They are wrong, and they do wrong. They should be punished with all the others. I'll leave it right there.
Thank you. Mr. Aliyu Kamara, your reflection on April 12, 1980.
Yeah, it's funny because 1980, when the coup took place, I wasn't even 6 years old. And I remember I was in a town where my grandparents had moved to settle in Grand Bassa County called Jacobstown in Timon. I remember at the crossing point, the Bassa people would say do, but by that time, people didn't call it Nia. The Pele people call it Nia and the Bassa people call it do. So I was sitting there with a branch of the tree was cut on top of the river. So there was a short piece of the tree just towering over the river. I remember as a child sitting on top of that thing, jumping in the river because they call me Ninja. I can't play. I can gain water against me. So I was sitting on top of that stuff, and I saw everybody going to BBC, focus on Liberia, focus on Africa at the time. Everybody talking. They were talking about toward that. Oh, I know. They were talking toward that. But based on my experience, even though the action has become consequential as a result of probably, lack of experience and knowledge on governance, but I think it was expedient and I think it was timely. Sometimes, better things have to happen in order for us to have some changes. But yeah, I couldn't tell you vividly like Mr. Ismail can narrate to you because I was barely 6 years old.
Thank you. Thank you. And where you think of April 12th has taken the country?
Well, if you look at it, it's bittersweet. April 12th have opened the country. We had a family of less than 2,000 that could determine what happens in 43,000 square miles. And I hear my brother Jimmy say that's where, the issue of, whatchamacallit started. No. We remember back then, not me, but according to the story, because my grandfather was a chief at that time.
So let me move to the next.
No, but let me tell you, let me answer the question you asked me.
Okay.
So when you talk about impunity, we know that they had different kinds of societies that you had to be a part of. And if you weren't a part of that society, you didn't really get justice. And it's a written fact, it's an oral fact, and it's undisputable.
Thank you. Let me go to Mr. J. Victor Nambi. 1980, and let's be brief. 1 minute should be enough.
1 minute. Okay. Well, April 12th, I remember I was at Tottenham High School. I was just a sophomore, 10th grader. I lived in Fiamma, Cinco. I still remember we woke up that early morning, and it was really my first time some of us realizing the power of broadcast media, because we're trying to, ELBC will go off, I think, around midnight and then come on something like around 5, 6 in the morning. But, it took a while. The radio wasn't coming on. And all of a sudden, we heard the national anthem being played. And, of course, that infamous speech by Master Sergeant Samuel K. Doe, my fellow countrymen, and on and on and on. That was the first time, we realized there had been a change in government. What did it mean for us? It meant for most of us that we felt we couldn't. That was an opportunity to go to Relda Theater. I don't know how many of you have ever heard of Relda. Some of us were going to Roxy and Sheila Cinema, Walker Cinema. That's where the have-nots. That's where we went, and the wealthy people, they took their children to Relda Theater and stuff like that. Send them to the States on student exchange and stuff like that. But April 12, we felt was that moment that took the lead of that dominance by a 5 percentage point of the population over the rest of the 95%. That's how we perceived it, and we were ecstatic, jubilant. I remember Samuel Doe. He came by the school there, took my to us. We were going home one afternoon and stopped by. I still remember. Took a stack of cash, and give it to us and had it by, helping the students, telling us we're here for you, we all won. And then, of course, the cabinet was rolled out. And we saw our own representation in the cabinet. Gabriel Matthews was in the cabinet. Oscar Weah was in the cabinet. George Bole at the time, he was associated with the PPP, was in the cabinet. Sam Jackson, he was one of the ministers, Then, of course, Dr. Family and the rest of them. So we saw that as a seminal movement for the oppressed. And we were very ecstatic, of course.
Thank you.
What came afterwards is debatable.
Thank you. Let me go to Mr. James Sewola Kennedy. James.
Thank you very much. I'm just so enlightened tonight hearing about the coup of 1980. I was much, much more younger. But as I've heard tonight, I listened to Mr. Jimmy, who said, he talked about the culture of impunity. My brother Aliu said it was timely. And Brother Nangbe just said it was an opportunity that at least some of them would have gone to places they would not have gone normally because of how things were happening before. But because I was small then and giving my wisdom today, what has that led the country to? We are still suffering from what happened in 1980 up to today's date. We have not recovered, and I don't know when we'll recover, because when you even look at the civil crisis in Liberia, we are still enjoying the absence of the gun right now. Do we have total peace? The reason we are having corruption is because of all these things that have happened in the past that have brought us here today. I've always liked to say this: the only reason people fight is that when they feel they are equal but treated unequally, they will fight. But when we fight in the same house, let's try to maintain peace, that we can break the house down totally, where we all kind of start struggling. Where do we start from? I will end on this point. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me go to Father Washington. Father Washington.
Oh yeah, thank you, Mr. Ja. I was pretty young. I think I was about probably 80 years old, 80 years old at that time. So I don't know a lot about what happened during April 12th. I was in Bomay as a kid. I lived with my aunt. Part of the thing that I heard about April 12th was just things people told me, or things I heard people say around me. So I really can't speak to a bulk of the things that happened. But the only thing I like to say is that after all these years, I just thought that just took our country backward. I don't think there's nothing that we reap from what happened at that time. Because when I look at a group of people who just kind of angry and say, "Oh, we've been suppressed," and just take another group of people, just take them to the beach and just put them on the fire squad and just kill them. And a few years after, they begin to do the same thing that they had killed other people for. And even after that, when you have the November 12th, the same people trying to, go against each other or one another at that time, it just tells me that what's the reason for even trying to kill the people in the first place? So for me, I think it hasn't helped our country. I think it was a dark day in our country. And I think that's something we shouldn't go back to again, for our country to think that, oh, these things are happening, this needs to happen so that our people will be knowledgeable. I think it's a side day, and I think that's something that we shouldn't go to.
Thank you. Let's go to Francis Jabate. And don't be fooled by the spelling and call it Jabate. It's Jabate.
Yes. For me, I was in heaven when 1980 April 12 happened. So I have no reflection of that day other than what I learned in history. And so, but based on what I learned in history, that was the beginning of the 1990 war, pretty much. And what we have today, our country is so divided on tribal line. We can see first it started with the folks from Nima and Grand Gdel, but now today, even in our electoral process, you have the Southeasterner that will follow the person from Southeasterner. You have Nibadians, and so it was not a good thing for our country. Pretty much, it wasn't a good thing for our country. It is not a good thing, and we need to change that mindset, because even when it comes to presidential appointee, we still hear people talking about, oh, he appointed everybody from the Southeast, oh, he appointed everybody from Lofa. Instead of us looking at what can the person do for the country, we worry about where or what region of the country that person came from. That's part of the problem we are still faced with today.
Thank you. The unabashed and unapologetic sedition.
boy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jad. I can remember vividly April 11, the AME Church. We were about to leave Liberia April the 14th or the 15th, somewhere there. And April the 11th, we came to Monrovia from Bassa. I was on Snapper Hill. That Friday, we were standing on the street having a great time. All the young people from the AME Church, from Eliza Turner AME Church, were gathering, having a good time. And then we heard the siren, whoa, 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 the presidential escort, and then the president convoy went by, and he was going to the Providence Baptist Church to the concert of the 192 verses of the Baptist Church. Prior to that, the AME Church, their choir, young people choir, have had, they call it the IGT, the International Gospel Translators. They had their own concert. So those two churches, those two choirs were the big ones in Liberia, and they were competing. So we said they had to go again, and that was it. Friday night, Saturday morning, about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, we were sleeping. We started hearing noise, and the guys started laughing. They said, "Oh, don't worry. The Nocos are shooting. Maybe they want their salary raised from $14 to $14.50," and we were all laughing. About 5:30, it had gotten heavier and heavier. And one of the guys said, "Guys, there's something going on here. This is not funny." And then he turned the radio on. By 5 o'clock, all we heard was the national anthem. And then Joe came over and announced that the government had been overthrown. This is Master Sergeant. And everybody went mute. An hour later, we went outside and we saw many, over exaggerated, maybe tens of thousands of folks coming from across the bridge with palm fronds and branches and people on their shoulders. And when we found out, we went closer, found out it was back of Mafia, and the guys from the prison had been freed and they were being coming. We ran over to my house where I was staying on Lane Street. When I went to Lane Street, it was right by the A.B. Anderson Funeral Home. My first time coming in contact with a dead person, it was a body that had been riddled with maybe 1,000 bullets. And they said, this guy's name is Kipper. Kipper is the guy who was the prison warden, the man who was beating the back of Matthew. He says, "I want to hear the sound of his back." That is the man body. Everybody came to see the wonderful Kipper, wicked human being they call him at the time. So that's my memory of April 12, 1980. But I also want to juxtapose that with why it's so important. The United States revolution started April 12, 1861, when the federal soldier opened fire on Fort Sumter in South Carolina. So their revolution and that turn of this country, April 12, 1980, our revolution, the turn of our. So I'm trying to juxtapose these to see that there is a lot of similarity between the United States and Liberia. Maybe, just maybe. I'm not want to be a conspiracy theorist here, but there got to be something similar, really similar. Thank you.
So you give me 1 minute, you give Jerome 1 hour.
Thank you. I too want to move on to our topic for tonight, but let me also share that April 12, 1980, I was all the way behind God's holy back in Sino. I was 9 years old, and I remember vividly because before that time, a lot of people from the April 17, the year prior, had gone on that side in search of bulletproof because they said they were being chased by the government, so they were looking for bulletproof to go and kill Tubber. So the people were already on that side, mainly people from our region and some others. So they were coming there to get gun-proof medicine to go and assassinate. So that atmosphere was already there. So when it finally happened, we didn't hear because the ELBC doesn't get on that side. The ERWA program will wait until like 6 p.m. So it was 6 p.m. on April 13th. That's the time we heard it. And everybody was jubilating. But my father said was the only person in the town I remember who was very sad. And we asked him why. He said, because this is going to continue. That same old man, when the invasion when 85 came, and everybody was excited, he said, "This is what I told you guys before. This is going to continue." And he too, when December 1989, when everybody was saying power to the people, he opposed it, and that's the lesson I learned from him that I'm going with today. Welcome, gentlemen. That's a reflection on April 12th. Whether I change the country for better or for worse will be debated for a long, long time.
Can I get 15 seconds? Can I get 15 seconds?
Mr. Kennedy wanted to say 15 seconds before you.
I just wanted to seek clarity from Mr. Jerome Gateman when he talked about April 12th, the American Revolution. Was that April 19 or 1775?
1861.
The American Revolution?
Yes, sir.
All right, I just want to seek clarity because I had looked up something different. So I saw April.
Yeah, if you depend on Gateman, you look for a lot of different stuff. Just forget it.
Listen, sir, it is you can if you don't know your American history, I understand you went to school in Colahon and then you went to school in Foya. So you don't know much about Liberian history. Actually, you're from Kenema in 7 years.
Don't listen to him.
Let me give my 15 seconds. You know, I noticed that Mansfield Dopu is making some interesting. Mansfield Dopu is making some interesting comments. Now, the regime at the time, it was the Truly Party regime. I will just give 15 seconds. It was an oppressive regime. But what I'm trying to say that there were people in the
what you mean when you say it was oppressive? Hold on, Jimmy. What do you mean when you say it was oppressive?
It did not allow democracy. It did not allow democracy. There was only one party, and if you were not part of that party, you were not allowed to exercise your political franchise. That's why I say it was oppressive. It suppressed democracy in the country. Now, but there have been people against this thing from various backgrounds. I can remember when Weeks and Best and Willard Russell were arrested. They were those denouncing the Truly Party agenda and what they were doing. And all of them were
Jimmy, we're going to debate this for a long time. Let's leave it at that.
But what? Okay, let me just land. So the idea is there was opposition to this from all sides, and yes, there was a dominant element of that Truly Party, but there was opposition from all sides even before 1980.
Dennis, you gotta give me 15 seconds, please.
We gotta move on.
Yes. So quickly.
Sunday at 6 p.m. Please join us. We're going to be doing a special program on. That's the anniversary of April 14, 1979, and we're going to combine both 1980 and 1979 to talk about that. I don't want it to take away. This was just a reflection. The debates are already there. We know the size. So let's move on. If you guys can allow me, sir. Tonight, we want to talk about what did President Boakai inherit? What kind of country did he inherit from President Weah? And whatever he inherited, what is he doing with it? Is he making it better? Is he fine-tuning? Is he making it worse? Where are we? So to begin that, let me start with Mr. Jerome Gateman, who supports the CDC with his blood, to tell us. And we're going to look at a few areas. We may not cover all the areas we listed here tonight, but the question is, what kind of country did Boakai inherit from Weah, and what is he doing with it? We want to look at the economy. We want to look at roads, security, rule of law, education, healthcare, and sanitation. Every time you have the chance to speak, you don't have to cover everything. Just pick one, and we'll move on from there. One or two, and we'll move on from there. Mr. Gateman, let's start with you.
Great. Thank you very much to the great panelists here. Let me start with the economy. I like the question, what did we inherit or what were bequeathed to us? I'm not going to quote anybody. Let's go to the Liberian economy. Let's go to the World Bank. In 2017, the economy grew at 2.3%. That's what we inherited. Today, on Monday, the Liberian economy, based on what Mr. Kamara said, quoting the World Bank, the economy grew 4.7%. It is something that everybody can see. The number is glaring. There's nothing you and I cannot argue the numbers. Your opinion may be anything, but you cannot argue the number. So if we inherited 2.3 in 2017 economic growth, and we are turning it over to Joseph Weah at 4.7%. In fact, Kamara said, based on the projection, 2024, 2025, we expect to be in 5.x% if it continues this way. So yes, the question is answered. There is no equivocation here. 2.3% we inherited.
That's the economy. Let's go to Rose. Go to something else.
No. Come on. We say you told me to pick one, so I can't cover it all. I'm picking the economy. This man inherited the best economy that Liberia has to offer. We took over at 2.3. We are bequeathing. We have bequeathed onto Mr. Kamara and the people from Sierra Leone, that whole gang, getting 4.7%. I shouldn't tell you this is what it is. Check it out. The World Bank said it. Mr. Kamara, the finance minister, said it. 4.7%. That is it. I mean, you got to be blind from 2.3 to 4.7. It's huge. Absolutely one of the best economies ever in the history of Liberia since 1847.
Jerome, let's be serious here. That you have no data to say that's the best economy ever.
I'm just telling you, you bequeathed to me 2.3. I am giving back to you 4.7. That is it.
Thank you.
That is the best that I know of since 1847. If you have anything else, put it on the show. Let's see it. But you said Joseph Boakai and Dr. Weah. And I'm telling you, Dr. Weah,
you have your 2 minutes.
It's all right. Give it. It's all right.
4.7.
Good.
It's okay. You know, the economic group, why we will know. We will counter all the people that are selling Dongafle on the road, the boat that are selling butter on the road, the children that are selling coup between the car, add it all together. The GDP still haven't even made 3 billion, but the economic group. But anyway, no, what did George Weah leave for Boakai? A dilapidating, kleptocratic, I'm talking malfunctional system, a corrupt network. That's what they left for Joe Boakai. We start with the police. The police director right now is struggling to build a police force. From pretty much zero, even uniform, they don't have. Okay? The Ministry of Finance is struggling to try to set this budget in a way that the entire country can benefit, because there's just too many ghosts on the payroll. It is crazy where you got consultants in government that outnumber some of the employees of some of the sectors of the government. You know, people cannot account for funds that are put into different places. $81 million went away. We're still trying to find these funds. So in summary, Joseph Boakai is left with something that he has to start from scratch.
Thank you. Mr. Jabate.
Yes, it's amazing, you know, our bossman, Mr. Gaiman, said the economic group. I want him to ask the people that are below 90% of Liberia today living below the poverty line. So I don't know where the money went, you know, maybe the money came in but went to the few than the majority. But I would also like to move on to education. You know, President Boakai is inheriting one of the worst educational system in Liberia. Our high school graduates are reading at a 9th grade level. Sometimes it's like memes on Facebook when they show graduation, and I would see 12th graders speaking, and you think it's a joke. Like, you think they rehearse that bad of a speech. But then the last government talked about free education. Everybody running around today saying, oh, President Boakai should keep it, President Boakai should keep it. But I'm pretty sure a lot of us on this platform are living outside of Liberia. First of all, there is nothing free when it comes to the government. And of a country that is very broke, well, although we have plenty of money left by George Weah, the economy grew, but you see the university, the building, the infrastructure is poor. It's deplorable. It's roof leaking. Students sitting on the ground, standing by windows. I was in Liberia for the first time since I traveled back in January of 2022. In the morning on Monday, when I arrived on Friday, Monday morning when kids were going to school, I see one group of kids going left in uniform, the other group going right with oranges and stuff on their head to sell. So they talk about free education. How is it being paid for? We all in the diaspora know that, okay, taxes paid for education. But if you do not have people paying taxes, the private citizens, no fault of their own, because there is no job for them to pay to even work to earn money to pay taxes, how is the government funding free education? Do we only care about the students going to a building? What about those teachers that are supposed to be educating the students? Are they getting paid? So one of the things that the past government like to brag about is this broken educational system. I think they did that for political reasons, for campaign purposes, but it failed miserably because it was bad. Then if I have 10 seconds, I'll go to security. It's bad for the country. Poor security. I was driving on Jacobtown Road and I saw a police cruiser, and I said, my cousin told me, oh, a big police officer is here. I'm like, wait, how do you know a big police officer is here? So you see that cruiser? Every day we drive by cruisers in the diaspora, and we know that it's one officer to a cruiser. So I asked him, what does the patrolman drive? He said, you better move from here. I said, what do you mean? He said, if you call police, you got to send keke. If you're going to arrest somebody, you got to send keke to take the person back. So this is another broken system that President Boakai has inherited from the George Weah government that he needs to work hard on. I mean, it's not, we are comparing the two. We know this can go back, but I want to stick with the topic right now. So poor educational system, which was politicized because they wanted to vote and it did not work. Poor security system. And we talk about economic growth, but maybe for the few, not the majority. Thank you.
Thank you. Father Washington.
Well, it's to make any socio-political analysis from where we are. I haven't lived in Liberia throughout George Weah's administration, so it's difficult for me to be able to make any judgment yet. But when I look at from where they took the country from during the early time to where they are, that's where I want to make my analysis. So have they made any improvement? I think they have made some improvement from where, because when I was in the country during the time of Ellen to where we are, I think they have made some improvement. But I think one of the big problems that I have with the administration was the way of doing business. The way of doing business in Liberia was pretty tough. I mean, it was so corrupt, and
which administration?
The one we just left. I mean, the Weah's administration. Staying from here trying to do business in Liberia was pretty tough. I remember when I was staying in Liberia during the time of the administration before Weah, it was easier to be able to do business in Liberia in terms of shipping and doing a lot of things. People could do things easily. But after a while, the last administration, I think things are pretty tough in terms of the way people did business. Security too was another problem. People's lives were injured. People were. I don't know when it was pretty different from during the time of Ellington to that, because I was in Liberia, but a lot of people complain about the security in Liberia. They were not safe. People were in the night. People will be, we get robbed on the streets. People can get robbed in, bright daylight. Somebody will just come and, snatch your bag, and nothing comes out of it. So it's a tough thing to say, but I think they have done some good things. But I think there are other things that this government need to do more. I see a lot of,
We'll come to that. What did they give to Weah when it comes to the security? You talk about the education. We talk about the what have they left for Weah for Boakai? What did Boakai give to Weah to take? What did Weah leave for Boakai to take?
Yeah, over? But the thing is that to know what Weah left is to know what Weah inherited. you know, because to just say what did he leave will based on what did he receive. Did he improve what he received? And you know,
Can I give him some information?
Hold on, let him finish.
Yeah, because that would be based on that. Then we can be able to say, hey, what did he leave? But what did he need there? So that's another question. So probably that's where we need to start the analysis from. So if we start analysis from there, then we can see, hey, yeah, he met this, there was an improvement, or he met this and he destroyed and left something broken. So that's where I'm coming from.
Thank you. Ali, you 50
Yeah,
seconds.
I want to give my brother small information. He wants to know what we have received. We have received a world-class trained military that wasn't existing before he came. We have received a reformed police force trained and structured, well-equipped. We have met a budget of over 500 million, which was only 80 or 81 million when Ellen came. We have met the ministerial complex, and it was well furnished and well taken care of. We have met the health ministry, and when we actually didn't have to pay rent to government agencies. I mean, in many cases, we have met the road projects. Some of them were complete, some of them were incomplete, and most of them the funds were already allocated for those projects, and so many things. And the public health sector was structured. It was just for him to continue and add on to what he received, but instead he broke it down.
Thank you. What's the number?
30 seconds.
Yeah.
30 seconds.
Yeah, Jerome, I will come to you. Let Nabe come on now.
So the economy was pretty much cratered under President Weah. I mean, yes, you can blame COVID for that, but I think most of it was also due to poor management. But to put the question more graphic, much day to day for the day-to-day person to understand, it's the same question that they ask you over here. Do you feel that you're better off now than you were? I'm not sure there's any Liberian or there's that many Liberians who would tell you they feel that they're better off now than they were 80 days ago. I doubt that. But let's look at this critically. Education, for instance, the education sector is in the doldrums, because of lack of access to support. Most of the system, the education system on the leeward side is practically non-existent, right? You have unqualified teachers who most of the teachers who cannot teach in real, school because of lack of qualification. They get attracted to the public sector, and what I understand is most of them they sign up for 2-3 different schools, just to make the payroll meet. But those are the people who are teaching our kids, in the leeward side of the country. So the education sector is completely broken down. What can we say about the health sector? Completely broken down. So there are a lot of us who felt that this government was going to come and make a clean break. But what saddens us is that they're continuing on the same path, right? This president is still appointing.
And we'll come, that will be the second part of the question. I want you to tell me, what did we leave with Boakai first?
The government was completely broken down. That is a fact. I mean, there wasn't
broken down government for Boakai to inherit.
There was I can't tell you that there was a functional government in Liberia. I mean, we all hear the stories. Everything was run from the mansion or from the finance ministry. I can't tell you there was a functional security sector in Liberia. I don't know that, right? We're hearing, for instance, there are 90 Indians to be removed from the police payroll and all that. That's the kind of thing you had going on. So I'm saying to you that, yes, Boakai inherited a broken system, but you're asking what is he doing with it? And I'm telling you, he's making it worse.
That would be the second part.
Yeah.
Let me go to Sewula Kennedy. Mr. Kennedy, what did Boakai inherit?
Thank you very much. From our perspective, from what we've seen, Boakai inherited a broken system in every sector, starting with education. I remember on the day Judge Weah visited the UL campus, the late Samuel McGill and many of the other citizens were there when he was pronouncing free education. Free education in the sense that it's going to be more addition to the problem, because yet students went to school, there was no classroom to even go to. There was no teachers to have them taught in a very classroom or in a field of discipline they wanted to be taught. But there was just everyday students in the street because there was so much dissatisfaction and nothing could really happen in the country where a president, a man that was so admired and loved by the people of Liberia, he got into power and he brought there was a complete turnaround for Liberian people who felt that Judge Weah would have done something better. All right. So a serious broken down educational system. Let's look at the security sector. In Liberia, everything was computer done haphazardly because everybody became their own bosses where things was just happening. There was no control. There was no control mechanism put in place where a structural thing is being set in place that government is empowered that things are happening. Many days you saw in Liberia, either somebody died or people are living in this complete state of paranoia where when you sleep the next day, you got to be praying that, oh, we hope John or Peter wasn't killed on the other side. When you speak against government, those became serious problem in Liberia. It was a serious breakdown of our system. Rule of law. Our kids, those who were pronounced free education, they were given free hookup or whatever, marijuana stuff, to drugs were given to them freely to smoke because we have to destroy them and play into them the mentality that we are the best government. It is very simple.
You were coming after him.
This is not a platform.
Mr. Gilman,
No, we cannot allow people to come here to say people gay kids marijuana.
Yeah, hold on, Mr. Gilman.
This is more intellectual than this.
But I have time, Mr. Gilman.
Mr. Gilman, hold on.
No, we can't allow this kind of our discourse.
Control your feelings.
The man come from Chevrolet, we come from Kenema. So
yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Gilman, let me provide you some education. When you spoke of April 12, 19, something about American Revolution, that was completely misquoted.
Listen, young man, I said
education.
I told you the Civil War was the real revolution.
But Kennedy, I told you not to follow Gilman news.
I said the Civil War was America's real revolution.
That's true.
What part of that you don't understand?
Okay.
Hold on. Let Mr. Gilman.
Was American Civil War that I said was the real revolution. What is that you don't understand? Can you fathom that?
All right, that's true.
Mr. Gilman, please. Mr. Kennedy, please continue.
So it was not April 12, it was April 17, 1775. Let me provide an education to you before I go further. When you talk about intellectual balances, this is where you know who is more, because when I'm talking, you listen to me, let me provide my information.
Mr. Kennedy, your debate.
Hold on, Mr. Gilman, please. Let Kennedy finish.
No, Kennedy will not finish when he's spewing garbage out here. There's nowhere in Liberia you're telling me that they were giving...
Mr. Gilman, you got to let the man finish.
Where in Liberia they were giving student drugs? Tell me where.
Mr. Gilman, you got to let the man finish, please.
So the beauty of this conversation is that I have not come to represent a political party. I've come to represent my country and how I feel about my country and say things that I know about my country. So if it makes anybody that you have a time to speak, just give me the time to learn. Rule of law, everything was done completely differently in our country for too many times we've not seen. The only thing people can say today in Liberia or before today is that we enjoy the absence of the guns, but we still have people who were in Liberia who couldn't move an inch because of the way the country was being run. And then when I hear people say, oh, the economy was good. When the economy is good, you can see that the market woman can be able to go to the market and buy food and send their children to school, right? But the economy is good, yet you can't send your children to school and you say economy is good. Let us stop talking this and be deceptive to ourselves and preach Liberia because that's the only country we have. And the only way Liberia can go far is by being honest to ourselves and to the generation here after us, all right? So we shouldn't say that preach politics based on party politics or party sentiment. I'm here because of Liberia, and it should not be because of any political party interest. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Gilman, you have a minute, and then Jimmy can come in.
No, I made my point already for...
okay, thank you.
Listen, for an individual to be on this platform to tell us that government officials are giving children, young people, drugs to induce them to not think. It is unthinkable. It is unintellectual. It is unfathomable. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jimmy,
yes.
What did Boakai inherit from Weah?
I appreciate the question, but first I need to point out something. And what Mr. Gamo said, April 12, 1861 is when the Civil War started in the U.S. and it ended April 9, 1865. There is an uncanny similarity that it's all on the date of April 12th.
Thank you.
And there are many people that still believe that the Americans had hand in the April 12th.
Thank you.
So, what did the Weah administration leave the Boakai administration? Well, let me tell you, first of all, the Weah administration had to absorb a workforce without the aid of all the NGOs and all of them that had packed their load and left with Unimil and all of that had left, and they had to find a way to survive with millions and millions of dollars fleeing in the country, no longer coming in. So I want to commend the Weah government for stabilizing the economy to the point that we did not see galloping inflation. If they had not properly, Liberian dollar would have been equal to one American dollar would be 500 Liberian dollars. But somehow they managed to stabilize the currency, at least so that Liberian people wouldn't suffer too much. So that is one thing. They left a stable economy. The second thing they left, Liberia, even though we did not have any war going on, but there was relative peace and security in the country. We discount that until there's no peace, then you know how valuable the peace. They held the peace. They were able to balance the political forces at the time. There were many negative incidences where it could have unraveled, but they balanced it. They didn't overdo anything. There were some incidences that the ruling party might have offended UL students, and I'm an ex-UL student, so anytime you go against UL students, I feel that you're coming against me. So there were some incidences where we were harmed, but for the most part, you were allowed to express yourselves to some extent. So I give them that. I also give them this, that even though our economy has a lot to be developed, okay, they didn't give you something that you were not going to be even able to operate. First of all, our budget tells you that we're not going to be able to develop if most of our budget is being spent on recurrent expenses. We cannot develop. You cannot go anywhere. You cannot develop the country like that. If the Boakai government continues the same trend, they will not be able to leave anything. You have to invest in the economy. And the last thing I will leave with, growth without development doesn't signify anything. Liberian economy started growing in 1945 after World War II. It started growing. At one time, we were at the same rate of Japan. But how much of that growth filtered down into development for our people? Okay, we didn't have pipe-borne water back then. We didn't have electricity. So we saw electricity, we saw a hospital, but how much did it improve the livelihood of our people? And that is where development is. So we've been seeing growth, and we have not been seeing development. And we cannot consider the two the same. When you have development, it means your people, they're not sleeping on the ground. The people can go to school. The people can have electricity in their homes. They can feed their families. You know, that is development. But just the economy growing is not a measure of progress. We can still be the same place. So they did well. At least they left the Unity Party very much where they took it from.
Thank you. What two things I didn't hear will be sanitation and healthcare. Let me start with Father Washington. You want to comment what?
It was poor. It was poor. Sanitation was poor. Healthcare was poor. So I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I think it was poor. I think it was left in a deplorable situation. I think that's something that this government needs to do more for. So yeah, it was poor, absolutely poor.
Mr. Kennedy, you wanted to come in. I want to give you the chance now.
Yes, thank you very much. Let me just pivot back to Mr. Eastman before I start on my next conversation. Mr. Eastman, thank you very much. Mr. Eastman premise clearly states that he first started saying that Josh Weah did very well because the economy, they did well level a little bit of stuff for Joseph Boakai government. But then he make a qualifying statement that in fact, because Omil left, that is why the Weah-led government could not be able to perform economically well as they should have done, because during the early time, we had Omil, the presence of the peacekeeping troop was in Liberia, so there was money flowing into the country that boosts the economy of our country. So I think he's gave a qualifying statement that yes, we are actually fair economically because Omil had led the country. The resources in the country was only given from our own budget that we raised. Mr. Eastman, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sanitation, if I could take on to the next topic.
Yeah, sanitation, go ahead.
Again, let's look at where Liberia has been, was and what it was doing the Josh Weah-led government. Sanitation, healthcare, I don't know what to point to because, again, the hospital became mortuaries in Liberia. I also know it's going to get vexed here. The hospital became mortuaries in Liberia where if you just want to die because the government is going by, you want to die.
Kennedy, to be fair, when were they not mortuaries? 12 years earlier?
I wish we were talking about from 1847 to now. We're talking about the Weah-led government. So when I'm speaking, right, I'm speaking within the context of the Weah-led government. All right. From once he took over to now, I say it became a mortuary. The hospital.
That's what I'm saying. Did they become mortuary under Weah, or Weah met them as mortuary and left them as mortuary?
Where I'm not speaking as Mr. Gaiman said, I came from Kolahun or Vahun. I'm speaking English, and I said during the Weah-led government, they became mortuary. I didn't say early government, I said Weah-led government. They were all mortuaries because healthcare was completely poor. You go to the hospital, you will go and maybe you will be diagnosed with a sickness, and there is no medication. All right, nothing was basically happening in the country, so everything just went down drain, and that is why this government, Joseph Boakai-led government, with the experience that Joseph Boakai have come with, he's taking it one day at a time to set that country on the trajectory that we can move forward to make sure Liberia go in the right direction. And that is what it is. It comes with experience and the know-how. So I think that every system in the Josh Weah-led government, one area I can give praise to, he attempted on the road connectivity. He did try around the Monrovia and other places. He did try. I must commend him for that. But also of that, I can't lay my hair on anything right now because Joseph Boakai inherited a completely broken system.
Thank you. Let me welcome Mr. Ansoni Sia. He's the host of Our Politics. He's the political bulldog. Mr. Sia, welcome.
Thank you, Dennis. It's good to be here.
And Mr. Sia, in summary, we're discussing what did Boakai inherit from Weah. Let me get your take quickly for 2 minutes. You can pick any of these areas: economy, rules, security, rule of law, education, healthcare, and sanitation.
Yeah, I will start with sanitation. I know the yardstick we're using for sanitation, or that we can logically use for sanitation, will be Monrovia, right? If you compare the early administration and Weah administration, you agree that Joseph Boakai is inheriting the worst sanitary condition in Monrovia. During Ellen Johnson's leave time, they did a little bit okay. Mary Bro was whipping people everywhere and trying to ensure that the city was at least clean. So yes, Boakai inherited a much worse sanitary condition in Monrovia. And don't take my words for it. One ambassador, I think as a European Union ambassador to Liberia, said Monrovia was the dirtiest city. And we all saw stockpile deaths everywhere. It became a national concern in the country. So Boakai inherited the worst condition when it comes to sanitation in Monrovia. And I'm talking about my Grand Crew because that place is clean. Well, let's come to security. Security under Weah was also horrible. The security situation under Ellen Johnson's leave was a little bit much more mileage compared to Weah. And so Boakai now is inheriting or has inherited.
They had Unimil.
I think he forgot that we have 15,000 United States. I mean, the UN security in the country.
It's called
Mr. Simon, be given the chance to speak, please, my people.
Let him stick with the record. Ellen didn't have security of her own.
The record you have is flawed. Let the man speak.
No, listen, let him finish.
Let him stick with the fact.
Yeah, Jerome, let him finish.
Ellen have 15,000.
It doesn't matter.
Soldiers for security. 15.
So why he didn't bring his 15,000? Let Anthony finish.
Is that Mr. Dennis Jai? Is that
you're not treating the show well, man. Mr. Sia is on the floor. Let him speak.
Mr. Kennedy, you bring nothing to the show, so just
no problem. Mr. Sia,
go ahead.
Jerome, you are a big brother here, and you know we
don't call me big brother. I'm a panelist. I'm here to talk. I don't want to be called big brother. I don't want to be called little brother.
I get that, but
the fact is that Ellen have 15,000 ECMO through when they left. Georgia had 0.
Mr. Gaitman, you will have your time to make that point.
Yes. No, but you have to make sure that we are on target here with the facts.
No, but let him know. You're going to respond. You have your time. Let him finish.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbon, for agreeing to exercise patience here. I agree with you. We have, I don't know the exact number, but I'll put it around 15,000 police and military personnel in the country helping to provide security, being funded by the United Nations at the time. So yes, obviously, the security situation during Ellington was much more better. All right, so we are inherited a much better security system, that meaning that we had AFL personnel that were trained. We had police that were also trained. I think the military personnel, the military was actually trained by the U.S. government, and the U.S. government also helped to train the police. So we are inherited a trained military by the international community and a trained police force. One would assume that they will do better given the training that they received. But I'm not sure if they were well funded and well taken care of, and that they actually, were taken care of the way they should have. Because if you look at the police, for example, uniform was an issue. All right, I don't think they got their supply in terms of uniform. So I will leave it there with security. Now, President Weah has turned over a much worse security situation to President Boakai. Let me start with education because of time. Education is another place the CDC government feels so miserably. If you look at our education system right now, I'm not saying that it was any better under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf by her own admittance that it was a mess. And when Weah came, Weah did not even improve the situation. He even make it worse. I will stop there.
Thank you. I want to see now, because we've gone 1 hour on this one.
I want to make some quick clarity, man.
I want to bring Mr. J. Victor Nambi.
Yeah, I'm a big brother. Wait for me. Let me make it clear.
Everybody older than you. Nobody know when you were born.
Okay, make your point, because I'm going to Victor so we can talk about what is Boakai doing with it.
Okay, all right. Let me just say this: when people say 50,000 echo more, it's just on-mill. It's a lazy argument. It's on-mill were providing security for the unity for Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. When I saw the EPS with Ellen Johnson, I did not see one UN soldier or officer behind Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. On her trip overseas, on her county tour, there was now one on-mail or any foreign security among them. When I had a land dispute across Suffering, where the deputy defense minister now in the House of Senate, that the police that came over there never saw one on-mail there. It was Liberian National Police wearing very clean uniform. When I saw them, I had to conform because I knew there was authority around. So the whole argument that OME did this, yeah, OME was around. The people who benefited from OME the most are those of you who have BB houses, and OME pay an astronomical amount for those houses. Those are the people that lose today, who were giving their houses up for $2,000, now can only give it up for $150 a month. You understand what I'm saying? Those are the people. But what Omid did over the Omid structured the things that should have been structured. The policies that were put in place by Elim, when you guys came, Mr. Eastman and the citizen over there, when you guys came in, all you should have done was to implement those policies, and you would have been okay.
Thank you. That leads us to our next step is what is Mr. Boakai doing with everything that he's inherited? Let me start with Mr. Nabi.
Yeah, then it's quite interesting debate. I like the back and forth. But listen, I was saying, so the president, I indicated earlier that I believe he met a broken government. But what concerns us is, what he's doing or not doing to help the situation, right? So you met a government that you said was practically broke. And the president is still appointing, from superintendents down to township commissioners, appointing 20 board members to an agency, and all of these things. All of these things, we believe they are contributing to the bloated government wage bill, which he himself told us was around 70,000 employees or $300 million per year, which is around about half or about 90-something% of the recurring expenditure. So that is what concerns us. What is he doing? What he meant? We had really hoped that this president would have made a complete clean break from business as usual or from the way things were done. But it looks like he's on track to do exactly what was done that got us where we are today. We don't see any attempts being made to chart a new course. He's doing the same old thing, creating new agencies, adding more people to the payroll, operating illegally, appointing people to positions that he shouldn't be appointing people to. So, what is he doing with what he met with? We think he's making what he met here worse, if anything, when in fact we expected the opposite. We thought he's the more experienced, more somebody, more reflective, more even killed. But that's not what we're observing. So, and this is what concerns us. This president came into office, refused to declare his asset until he was about a week or two into office. What signal did that send? We thought that was a missed opportunity. And when did he sell the ombudsman? I think about 2 or 3 weeks or so ago. Now, these people are supposed to help him monitor the code of conduct. Yet he's prosecuting people for breaching the code of conduct when he has no ombudsman in place to monitor, people's performance in government. He's appointing people in government, some of whom were in the previous government, as in Ellen Johnson's government, and they didn't do much better. I mean, we have the DEA commissioner. At least he's doing much better now. But we had thought he would have actually brought in more experience and more qualified, more competent people. Yes, the people who are being appointed in government are competent, but we want something new, something different. People who will help him think outside the box. But we're not seeing that. And so we're holding our breath collectively, hoping that this president will change course. But we don't see any indication that he's prepared to do so.
Thank you. Mr. Jabate, after you then, Mr. Gilman.
Yeah, when it comes to the economy, we see President Parker trying to deflate the inflated payroll that he inherited. As we can see, evident with what happened with the noise at the executive mansion, that people running around Moreover saying he tried to take jobs from 730, 36 or 30 people at the executive mansion. But yeah, and we just found out last week from Senator McGill that their pro-poor agenda, that's how they created the millions of jobs that they claimed that they were going to create for the Liberian people by just putting them on payroll and having no role for them. How can you create jobs for somebody when there's no defined role for them? You just put them on there. That's also what killed our economy. So President Boakai's administration is now trying to clean things up. With even at the CSA today, that they're talking about people are misquoting or giving that interpretation, saying he's trying to take 40,000 people out of work. All they're saying proves that you're supposed to be here. And that's the problem we're having in Liberia. Everybody wants to just sit and say, okay, it was happening this way, so it remain this way. And that's not going to happen. So President Boakai is actually doing, making the best out of a work situation. And also when it comes to sanitation, our brother, Mr. Snare, our seer, spoke about it. We see what's happening. He's also, his city mayor, appointed mayor, is also trying to keep the city clean. But as we can see, I mean, no evidence to that, but just my own speculation, that people are trying to sabotage the cleanliness of the city. Because you will see today that a group will come and clean Center Street. Then tomorrow is a mountain of dirt, like it hasn't been cleaned since the Weah took over in 2017. 2018. So that's the problem. And he has a very tall hill to climb, because the destruction and damage that was done to our educational system, our sanitation system, and the economy is almost beyond repair. But he is working on it, and it's not fair for us to compare this administration that is just about, let's say, 90 days or 80 or so days old to 6 years of a government, because you cannot compare the two, because the data from 2018 to 2023 is not, you don't have enough from January 22nd to today. So we will see. But also the thing with Roe, when it comes to Roe, I know somebody mentioned, he did a little bit better with Roe. Our problem is we always count Monrovia to be Liberia. He did absolutely nothing with Roe. He told the people in the Southeast that the 6 month rain is the reason he couldn't fix any road. People dying in roads, getting stuck in ambulances, getting stuck in the Southeast, and cannot make it to hospitals and even to cross over to other counties. So he did absolutely nothing with roads. He completed some projects that were already started.
So what is President Boakai doing now with roads?
President Boakai is actually working on road. I know that everybody's going to come. He said no car will be stuck in the mud in his first 100 days. But as we can see, there are work being done on the road, maintenance work being done on the road. I'm not going to sit here and tell the Liberian people that, yes, you should be driving. There will be no cars stuck in the mud. That is unrealistic with the type of roads that he met. It's not just possible to get all of that done, because the finances is not there to even maintain the crew to rehabilitate all of those roads. So he's making the best out of a very, very bad situation that he received.
Thank you, Mr. Gaiman.
It is very, very comical to hear people from the other side come here. You notice they are not quoting any statistics. They are not quoting any professional journal. They hear this is their opinion. Last week, you saw a young man who went to Central Street to film what is happening there, and police beat him up. They were trying to beat him up to take his phone. They don't want him to film it. These are facts. But let me tell you what Joseph Boakai happened. No excuse for Joseph Boakai. Joseph Boakai said he was a parked car for 12 years, and he was observing. And then 6 years after he left the vice presidency, that he observed all the ills of the society for which he had assembled the best and the brightest. Today, Joseph Boakai have not even formed a government. Today, Joseph Boakai, the president-elect Joseph Boakai, put up another nomination of 44 individuals, on which we have the chief imam, the minister, all the moral authority of Liberia are now on Liberia's payroll. And then at the end of that press release, he says, these nominations supersedes all previous nominations. This is the experienced man we are talking about. Joseph Boakai came into office as the rescue team. Today, we don't have a government. Joseph Boakai said he was a man of law and order.
You giving moral speech, or you answering the question?
Excuse me, sir.
Aliyu, please.
Okay.
You know, Liberian like to be dragged. So
we have the inauguration budget that was done. We know what happened. He said it was under investigation. We don't know what happened to the inauguration. We don't happen to the $650,000 that was sent to the different counties for which Mr. Tapper said all 73 districts had $5,000, for which he took $1,000 apiece for himself and his boys. There were investigations. We don't know what happened to that. We see what happened in King George, in Cape Mal County. People were murdered. They are investigating that. We saw electrical they say electrical theft. They went to investigate and they killed somebody. And they are investigating that. We saw the president got $42 million for the first 2 months that he got. There is no record of what happened. As of today, the government does not even have a budget. How are they operating? Nobody knows. This government that's supposed to have been the experienced government that were coming into rescue needs rescue. It is terrible. Joseph Boakai, with 12 years of experience as vice president, he came into government in 1964. That gained 54 years of governmental experience. He has performed dismally. This is going to day 80. We don't have a government yet.
Thank you. I don't know what you mean. You don't have a government yet. What does that mean?
He's still appointing people. We don't have a government.
Okay. Let me go to Sewola Kennedy. We'll come to you, Francis. Sewola, what is President Boakai doing with what was entrusted in his care?
Thank you very much. I'd like to respond to this very much clearly, but can you please guarantee that I will not be interrupted in my responses, please?
Sure, no guarantee.
Nobody jump in my shoulder again.
No guarantee, my man.
Thank you very much. Let me first start by saying, when we come into this kind of discourse, it's very good and important that we get some of the facts that we want to speak to in our hands. And if you don't have it, you can read around it, we'll understand. But don't speak as though you are the authority of, you have first-hand primary information when you don't have. Most of us here are talking about secondary information. Joseph Boakai, again, like I said, seriously a broken down system, and what he is doing now, what is he doing with what he inherited?
Right.
Joseph Boakai is taking very great time and looking at things in a very careful way. Look what happened when Joseph Boakai took government. As president of the Republic of Liberia, the first thing, his own office budget, what was it when President Weah was there versus what is it today? He scaled it down to ensure that that money shouldn't go into his pocket, but go to in the pockets of those who have not had it before. Going down to the vice president office, going down to the legislature, and every sector. That the first approach to make sure we put money back into the economy that will be used so that your child, my uncle, and everybody children who in Liberia can have a means to go to school. That's one of the first best approaches I've ever seen in my lifetime for a government, a president of the Republic of Liberia to do. I think all of us on the line should start giving applause to Joseph Boakai for what he has done. That's
Mr. Kennedy, let me interject. That you're talking about the budget, right? So the money that was cut from the various areas, where did he put it?
Oh, that's good. It went back into the budget because, take for instance, the legislature, how much we're paying 67 million. He brought down to 38 million. Do you know how much is that piece that have been brought back into the budget? And that will be redirected to ensure your health care.
And where was that redirected? That's what I want to understand.
I haven't looked at the budget line, but you agree with me. You agree with me, and Mr. Games also agree with me that it was taken or it's redirected into the budget. I can tell you what specific budget line it affects currently because I haven't gone into the detail of the budget. But it went into the budget and it affects the budget that our healthcare. Look at education. When those money was cut down, the education budget was from 98 million to what? 105. Right? Healthcare also went up. It means that those are the redirected lines of the budget that it went into. Those line budgets were increased because money had come from other places that were just spent extravagantly to ensure that healthcare can be taken care of. Then when Mr. Gamer go to Liberia, you got headache, you have a place to go later, you'll be treated. You're not going in a mortuary no more. Those are the things that Joseph Boakai is doing. A very good step that a leader, an experienced person is doing. When somebody says, we don't know what Joseph Boakai is doing, it means that you need to sit down and understand how government works. This is not one of those amateur kind of government Joseph Boakai is leading. He has come with experience, and he wants to make sure Liberia was like a train on the track that was moving in the right direction. It's off that track. All of us got to pull our hands on that train and pull it back on the track. And at this point in time, that is Joseph Boakai main focus at this time. It is not about what this person didn't do. Joseph Boakai wants to make sure Liberia. Look at the world now. The international community is focusing on Liberia because we're building more relationships, building ties with people. Come to our country and invest in our country. Make sure you can create jobs for other people. Unlike that, in past government, yesterday, we didn't have the kind of relationship. Our kids were in the street and were giving drugs to smoke. When I say, and somebody wants to get vexed, because that's what happened.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Jabate, please add your 30 seconds and then I'll go
Yeah,
to...
you know, Mr. Gimmick, he ran on a rant and saying that we're not speaking with facts, but did not present any facts and did not even address the topic at hand as to what President Boakai is doing with what he inherited. But he also talked about budget. Unlike the CDC-led government that was just kicked out, that will present a budget today and in the morning at let's say 11 o'clock and it passed by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, because all of the legislature were not doing what it's supposed to do. So there's a difference from a government, and everything that is worth having is not easy, especially when you inherited it from a terrible regime. So it's not going to be easy. We don't judge our government or form maybe after January 22nd, a week later. But bunch of incompetent people were running the government. That's why we are inheriting what we inherited today. So address what President Boakai inherited from the CDC. Don't go on a rant and talking about we're not presenting facts when you are giving no factual information yourself.
Thank you. Mr. CA, what is Mr. Boakai doing with what he inherited?
Thank you, Dennis. Before that, I think it's Comrade Kennedy, and correct me if I not quoting you or right, who said that President Weah did absolutely nothing. Was it Kennedy or Jabate?
I did President Weah say he did something with the road.
Yeah, I think it's Jabate who said that President Weah did absolutely nothing on roads, and that is false. That should not be said anywhere, as this is not a defense for the CDC. I know that the CDC was a failure, but they constructed some roads, and that is the fact. The RIA road that we see today.
Where and new roads? Can you please?
Jabate, let him finish.
Yeah, Jabate, I'll answer your question. All right. The CDC government started work on the Ganta to Saclay Road, and also the Saclay to Tapata Road, the Fishtown to Weekend and Canwecan Road in River G. Those are just few examples of the roads
Dennis,
that
can we correct this man?
Work on. That is a fact. And the records are there. So to say that they didn't do anything with roads, please don't say that anywhere, because that is laughable. They did something.
All right, let me first of all correct you. Everything you just
hold on, Aliyu. Let Anthony finish.
Let him finish.
Let Ali go ahead. They did something with road. Let him go ahead. I know you're going to say that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf got the money.
Everything you just named, all of it was started by Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. All of it.
I'm not disputing that, but Ellen did not complete the project.
So the fund was already allocated.
It's not the point.
So
right?
That's not the point. He said they did nothing.
No, but you said yo, we
that's what I'm correcting.
No, when you said started, that word started is what I'm going to correct.
Exactly, that's the key.
Yeah, they started the work.
They didn't start the work. The work was in progress.
That is
no.
You know, gentlemen, when we're talking about work in progress, work in progress is not completed until it is completed. So if Josh Weah came and completed it, let's give him that credit.
Give it to him.
No, we're not taking the credit for him, but Joe, you did not start.
Are you done? Because I want to go to the next person.
Is that no community road?
Yeah.
Some of the road projects you're talking about, I agree that
let's leave the road
funding before leaving. But Ellen did not begin the road construction work. And I'm telling you, George Weah or the Weah administration started some of the construction work. And that's what I'm telling you, and that is a fact.
I put $1,000 down. What you say?
Take that $1,000. Kenema need 1,000. Give it to them.
I just want to point out real quickly.
Let me come to what President Boakai
is doing
now with what he has inherited. Let me start with the issue of the budget. From Ellen Johnson Sirleaf to President Weah, the recurring expenses of the budget was always around 80-85% of the budget. Joseph Boakai took it to 92.5%. That is bad. Very, very bad. Thank you. Now, we have the most recent budget, the last budget of President Weah. President Weah had about $150 million for private sector investment, not private sector investment, but investment into the country. all right, or public sector investment, they call it, $150 million. Joseph Boakai have $51.5 million. That is disastrous. So Joseph Boakai is not making
Do you
any
even understand
significant
what you're saying?
What time frame?
No, I understand. Aliyu. Let him go ahead.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what's wrong with it, Aliuga. So
Yeah,
this is the past administration of Weah, who assigned $150 million to invest it in the Liberian people, public sector investment. Joseph Boakai budget $51.5 million only to invest in the Liberian people. That's roads, that's education, that's water, that's sanitation. That is insignificant. All right, the recurring expenses, they took it from 85 all the way to $92.5 million. So but Joseph Boakai is not doing any good whatsoever with the budget. I must maintain though, President Boakai now cut the budget of the Ministry of Presidential Affairs significantly. That is a good thing. But on the average, if you look at the way they are going with the budget, he's not doing any better with the budget whatsoever. Now, when it comes to employees of the government, they accuse the CDC government of putting more people on payroll. And I see the current administration is doing that. If you look at the appointment of board of directors, the man who should be cutting down the number of employees should not be, so hasty appointing board of directors everywhere, because all these people, you need to pay them. That's not free. So he's not doing any good with employment of people. I think he's increasing the number of people in government. So that is not improvement whatsoever. And also on the budget. Now, so much is left to be seen what he's going to do with education. Let's look at agriculture. He only increased the agricultural budget by $1 million. And that is not significant. That is almost about the same.
Then I got to come right after this guy.
Then it's very Aliyu that
my seat just hot under me, man. They got making my seat hot.
Aliyu, go ahead, because you are disrupting. You're being very
disruptive.
I haven't addressed this. Aliyu, you can be disruptive like this. You got to.
No, but I'm saying this guy is making. I'm baffled. I'm baffled that
you gotta let me finish. That's all right.
Okay, finish.
Yeah, but Mr. Camara, let me finish. Yeah.
No, then he interrupted me. I don't like to be in a conversation like this. We're not fighting war. We are just expressing ourselves.
This is debate, man. Come up here, man.
Interruption is unnecessary.
Ali is back from the dead. Listen, Dennis.
Let Aliyu go ahead. Go ahead, Aliyu.
Aliyu cannot counter with numbers. Who has the opinion? The man is reading fact, numbers.
This is a debate. Get your feeling out of the way.
Aliyu.
Let me tell you this, Dennis. The political bulldog just surprised me this evening.
Aliyu, please go ahead with your counter.
Yeah, I'm going ahead now. I'm talking right now. Is this guy telling me that he doesn't understand the budget for the president, for the president's personal development projects and that of the national development projects? The money he's talking about, $100+ million, that's going to George Weah's office. Joseph Boakai cut that $100+ million to $50 million. This guy is telling the public here that was disastrous. I am surprised by that. I'm also surprised that the political bulldog at that
Dennis,
doesn't
I'm going to interrupt the guy. Did this guy understand anything I just said?
No, let me tell you.
No, he understood.
Did you understand any of the things I said? Gentlemen, on the panel.
Listen. The political bulldog doesn't understand that the Ministry of Agriculture does not depend solely on government budget to function. I'm surprised. He also doesn't understand that the health
has nothing to offer.
That the Ministry of Health does not depend solely on government budget to function. Let me land.
I gave the Boakai administration credit for significantly reducing the budget of the Ministry of Presidential Affairs.
But that's not what I'm talking about. You talk about 50 million, 51 million to that comparison.
No.
Go ahead.
Mr. C,
can you even call a single figure in the budget that you remember, Ali? Call me a single figure. Do you even know the exact number of the budget? Do you know? You don't have any idea.
I am not going to answer any. I'm not going to answer any trivial question.
Yeah,
But let
Mr.
me inform you something here.
Yeah,
Let me inform you on something.
Finish.
Mr. Sear, you want to allow you to continue, so let him continue. Mr.
Yeah, you want crab baby, so let me continue. The Ministry of Agriculture, most of its funding comes from donors. So even if President Joseph Boakai decides to give the Ministry of Health,
this man talking entirely different thing. I talk about the budget, and he's going outside of the budget.
No, this is what he's responding to, because you said he increased the agriculture ministry budget by 1 million. He is saying you're not even supposed to put anything there because outside money will come for agriculture ministry. But is that in the budget?
The problem that he needs to, the thing he needs to talk about here in terms of agriculture and other things, for me to say, yes, my brother is making sense. If he said that those agencies need thorough, spearheading in terms of how they use those resources, it'll make sense. These are principles of corruption.
Aliu,
yes.
You were talking about increment, right? So the budget for agriculture ministry increased by 1 million.
Yeah.
Anthony is saying that is insignificant.
No, but I am telling you that it doesn't even matter whether they put 1 million or subtract 1 million because they already have enough.
Where? From where?
From donors.
The ministry of, okay, you're listening.
Yeah,
the
where?
Ministry of Agriculture, just like the Ministry of Health, they get extra support.
Yeah.
From
so this year, where the extra support is,
that's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but you're not letting me. You guys are muscling me. You guys are muscling me. All right. The Ministry of Agriculture, like the Ministry of Health, they already have existing funds that needs to be looked into. So when you see Joseph Boakai not putting so much money to agriculture, what you need to be asking as a journalist, let's find out why Joseph Boakai only added $1 million increment. Have you asked? Have you tried to dig in detail? All right, go to the
Let me go to Jimmy. Because, we're discussing budget, and he said they should go ask Joseph Boakai why. I mean, who does that?
No. But you see, the point here is,
in all fairness, you should have allowed Mr. Sear to conclude his statement.
No, Mr. Sear said you want to conclude. Let Ali continue.
Because Mr. Kamal has already given his statement.
No, I wasn't even allowed to speak.
Yeah. Yes, all right, Mr. Sear's finished.
All right, Mr. Jimmy, go ahead.
I can't finish, Mr. Sear can't finish. Let's see what Jimmy will finish. Jimmy, go ahead.
What is Boakai doing with what he inherited?
Okay, talk so. All right. I think it's way too early to determine if this government is doing anything significant. What I want to see is what he does with his investment in education. I want to see his commitment to education, increasing access to schooling and improving the quality of education. I want to see infrastructure development. We talk about the roads, but building and improving infrastructure is bridges, telecommunication, works, electricity, and all of that. I want to see how far they go. The other day we hear him going to beg for. They went to beg for more power from Ivory Coast. But that's not what's going to solve our problem. Our problem is going to be distributing it, having it available to different places. We have to deliver this electricity to various industries, and they will grow the economy. Just having more electricity is not the thing, especially when they haven't stopped the theft and the leakage that's been going on. I want to see other economic diversification in the country. What other things has he done to show? I think it's early, and that's why I'm not going to condemn or praise. I think it's way too early, and as an engineer, I know these things take time to build and to put together. So I know it's a bit early, and there's going to be some growing pains, but after about a year or two in office is when we're going to know whether or not these guys are making structural changes to bring about the development we're looking for. What we should look for now are structural changes in how we do things. Structural changes means Are we creating an atmosphere for business people? Are we correcting the law that is governing the land and all those things that relate to it? Are we creating a better atmosphere there? Have we gone to the free port and examined the taxes and levies we are placing to, in other words, allow merchants, Liberians, to be able to free enough to invest more in transporting goods and services in and out of Liberia? Those are the structural changes we're looking for to see if he's going to improve this economy. All these appointments mean nothing until the structural changes are in place that will facilitate improvement. So right now, the jury is still out. That's how I see it.
Dennis, I like to quickly agree with Jimmy
So
here.
I want to go to Father Washington first before you come in.
Yeah, I've been spoken on this, and I thought that I've been one person who in the past have said that I didn't see anything significant that this government going to do. But from what I see, from the plan that I see, from the things that I hear, from the things I see they are putting in place, I mean, it gives me good hope that this government is going to do well. When I look at some of the different places, like I just talked about, like you said, the fact that the president leaves a country and go to another country to go and beg, I mean, it's a good sign, and that's a good sign that he thinks legislation is important, so he needs to go himself, go and talk to people, and let us have legislation. Give us time. We'll pay you back and let us have legislation. I see LEC. And the partners are going places. They are working out modalities to see what they can build another dam. That's something good. I look at the drug enforcement agency do a lot of work. I mean, they're arresting a lot of drugs from the market, making from the street. I see the DEA, director going around. These are good things. The police director, I see he's doing a lot of great work. I mean, a lot of education, a lot of training, a lot of education with the motorcyclists. Dissemination of information, people get to know, so that later on when they're making all these great stands, people can say, "Oh, we were educated, so we know." So that's something good they're doing. A few days ago, again, I heard that the guy from Water and Sewer, they started pumping water to certain part of Monrovia. That's something good, and so for me, I can begin to see. I can see public works. I listen to the public works minister. There are plans in place for things to happen the next 2-3 years. Great things will happen. That's a plan, and it tells me that the government council has a plan and things they want to do. We can already begin to see. You can go and check some of the things to say and see whether it's correct, but you can see that there is a plan. The business climate for me, I think things are beginning to be open. Things are opening up. I can see that the minister for commerce, I mean, a lot of things he's doing, a lot of things he's putting in place. You better see some of the things translate now, but the fact that they are working on it, that they're putting plans in place, I think that's something that gave us some hope that in the next 6 months and that's 1 year, we can begin to hold them on their own words or things to say. I listened to the guy from
CSA?
Yeah, CSA. There are a lot of great things he's talking about. The fact that they want to kind of take a lot of names. One person said when I was seeing Ellen, when I was doing the time of Ellen Salih, the GSC said I'm going to remove those names and nothing happened. We want to see it. I mean, I can see playing. That's something he wants to do. He already said he's going to block the names. That's something they begin to do. So they want to put the Raw Crown Court. I mean, the two houses have concord, so that's something good. The only thing I needed to do more on is the fire. A lot of fire that's in the country. People, houses on fire in the country. That's something I think they should put more emphasis on. Apart from that, there are good signs. There are good signs, and I'm very hopeful.
Thank you, Victor. I said the chicken, the chick that will turn to a rooster. You can tell, as the young, some people can even tell from the egg.
Yeah.
So right now, let's look at the free flow of information. We had a president, we didn't hear from that much. Now we're seeing that the press secretary is out there. We see all the ministries and these land agencies going to Mika to deliver, give some report.
Giving reports.
We saw the war crime court issue. Some say that's a bluff, but it's something that the president has initiated and is now passed both houses. So will you say these things these are some good steps?
I think absolutely. I think we have to give them good marks on this end. The thing about this government is, if they're doing something, sometimes they tend to do it so well. Sometimes they tend to overdo it. And then when they're not doing something, they tend not to even touch those things at all. The flow of information, I think, is good, but I think there are times when they tend to overshare than they intend to, and we've seen some reversals of some of the pronouncement that they have come up with. But I think it's a good sign. I mean, we had a President Weah, who I don't remember him actually ever, briefing the press on anything substantive.
Had
Yes,
Boakai briefed the press?
No,
I'm
he
sorry?
has not done so.
Okay.
I'm sorry? No, I was going to say yes. President Boakai may not have spoken to the press, but at least we get some more frequent briefing from the executive mansion than from President Weah's time. So I think that's a good thing. So, but I was going to say quickly what Jimmy was saying. I think part of the problem we're having is I think it's a little bit too early to have a significant sample to actually make a good comparison between what President Weah did in 6 years compared to what Boakai has done.
No, that's not what we are comparing. Just
perhaps
the steps that we're taking.
what we may want to be talking about could be what did Weah do around this time in his presidency that Boakai has done around the same time. I think that might give us a good comparison. We know around this time, I think we're talking about the missing $16 billion, I believe. And, out of that, President Weah was breaking down his house on 9th Street and building all these things. I don't think Boakai has done as much. That is a fact. That is a fact. Now, we can then take Boakai's pronouncements, the promises that he made, and compare them to what he has done. That is a problem, because most of the pronouncements that they put out there, which are contained in the 100-day deliverables, most of those things have not even been started. I know on this platform, we heard one of our colleagues saying he heard that some of the machines had been moved to some of the sites. If that is true, to begin some road work, that'll be a good thing, even though I doubt whether anything is really going to get started or no car will get stuck in the mud before the 90 days are up. But notwithstanding, we think if progress is being made, we should point that out. And I must quickly plug in here. I read from my friend at the Rural Energy electrification project. I forgot a real name, but Samuel Buchanan, with no relationship, we're just friends. But he was talking about the rollout of a 40 million euro, which is intended to electrify the southeastern region. I think that is also, if it comes through, I think that would be commendable, because we all know how the rural parts can use electrification. So that is a good thing. Of course, then the War Crimes Code is another monumental undertaking if this government succeeds, like we say, in lifting that off the ground. So yes, we will give them credit when we think they're doing well, but we will also let them know if we think they're falling on their sword. And right now, I think they're like 30% doing what they should be doing, 70% not doing anything yet.
Mr. Sia, I want to bring in my caller, so I just want you guys to just 1 minute each going around to give some comments while I get the call lines ready for a call.
As you speak, Mr. Sia, just know I'm here.
What does that mean?
Dennis, it is way too early to tell if the Boakai administration is doing better with or trying to improve what it has inherited. The first thing for me I'm looking at is the budget, which I must agree can't be the only thing we look at, because but again the budget tells you the government priority, right? If you look at county development fund, social development fund, this fund for all the counties combined, we're talking about 15 counties, $9.6 million total that what they put in the budget to develop our counties, all of our counties combined. If you compare that to what is in the budget for the Ministry of Presidential Affairs alone, the Ministry of Presidential Affairs got more money than all the counties combined. So when I look at that, I say, well, this is not a good sign. They need to do better with that. That is how you see, how they are thinking about improving the material conditions for our people. And I will emphasize again, $51 million for public sector investment compared with 150 from the Weah administration. That means Joseph Boakai administration is not doing better. That is almost like 25%, and I'm not good with numbers, of what we are set aside for public sector investment. So if you look at that, I mean, they're not actually doing, but again, it is way too early. And if you look at their 100 days deliverable, there are a lot of things they said in there. They don't even have the money right now. So we will continue to wait and see. But I can say to you that I don't trust this government, that it would do better to my expectation. That is my expectation. I know some people are so optimistic, and it's okay. But on the issue of the war crime code, we will not get a war crime code under this administration. This is just a bluff. This is a political football they are playing. And thank God we are all here. I want to eat my own words. I want to come by and shake Boakai hand. You did it. This is big. But I guarantee you, this will not happen. This is just a bluff. Because they don't even have a penny in the budget for that. Because if the man wants to do war crime code, let him at least put maybe $1 million in the budget so that I can start gathering evidence. Then I know that they're serious. But again, that's where we have it.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Friday Night Debate. If you want to join the conversation, the number is on the screen. We're going to have the phone lines open just for 15 minutes. 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#. Let's look at this, right? Let's look at the 100 days deliverables. You said that no car stock in the 100 days, you say it was unrealistic, but Mr. Boakai promised us that. So now, if you look at the 100 days deliverable and where we are now, will you say he did not actually study the system before making that pronouncement? Because they have to admit one thing, because those people that are supposed to even do the work, some of them have not even been appointed. Is it that the president did not calculate well to come up with that 25 days deliverable, or it's just not important?
I mean, I'm not going to say it's not important. I mean, sometimes I'm not happy with the first 100 days, but we should all be realistic. It's very dangerous when we sit on platform, international platform, and try to tell our people, especially our folks in Liberia, that, oh, he lied. He said this in 100 days. But we should also let the people know there are certain things that go into making all of these things happen. We look at the road. Like I said, it's not going to be possible for all the roads to be pliable or no car to be stuck in the first 100 days, because we all know, one, funding, two, equipment. There's not enough equipment in Liberia right now, even if you have the funding to pay off the contractor to just fix all of those roads. So we know it's not realistic. And at the same time, working on putting people in appointing cabinet officials. So yes, I am disappointed, but not disappointed in the sense that, oh, he lied to the Liberian people. No, a lot more should have been done. I'm disappointed in the fact that when he won the election, he should have at least had a lot, maybe 75% of his cabinet, of his appointees already ready to go, so that after inauguration day, the ball could get rolling. But they drag their feet on that, thus stalling a lot of what he is supposed to be doing within the first 100 days. So that's my disappointment. But a lot of the things that he's when it comes to road, we know. I mean, I know that it's not possible to get it done, even if he had the funding, because the equipment is not even available in the country to take care of tackle all of the roads.
So did he overpromise just to get elected, or what is it?
No, he did not overpromise to get elected. Okay, so for example, another place I'll come back to, the economy.
Leave that one. Let me bring
No, it's just an example I'm trying to give. Not to go into detail. Just an example of how he's talking about addressing something, but when he come in there, that's when you see it is worse than you expected. He didn't know that Judge Weah's pro agenda or his job creation program was to just put people on payroll. But now he has to backpedal to clear our payroll before starting to address that. You see, so that's also part
I think the Unity Party indicated that they knew exactly what was happening.
Exactly.
Can I tell me 1 minute?
To say that they didn't know,
that
I
is
disagree,
not
my
right,
friend.
because
Well, can
you
I tell
can't
me 1
tell
minute?
if you don't have the
I need to
record.
say
You
that
can't
they
tell
didn't know
that.
it's even worse, because then what was the promise based on? What was the promise?
Dennis,
You can speak up and say, okay, I'm gonna
Let
make
it come
sure
in.
I'm gonna clear our payroll. Or I'm gonna increase payroll for civil servants.
Let me
But
bring
when
him
you
a
come
caller.
in, you see thousands of
let
ghost
me come in
employees.
1 minute.
What do you
Can I
do?
come just 1 minute?
All right,
30 seconds.
30 seconds, please.
Okay, no, we'll go in 1 minute. First of all, let's clarify some things here. You cannot put something in the budget that is not legislated. You can't say put $1 million in the budget for war crime code when you haven't passed any bill of war crime code. That's the first thing. Number two, Dennis, there are yellow machines on all of the major highways that Joseph Boakai promised that no car would be stuck in the mud. From Nimba
when he promised, he didn't name any road.
But we know the major. But let me adjust my 1 minute now.
Yeah,
Because you interrupt me, then you say let's go to the next question.
There's no yellow machine on the road from Greenville to Duplicate, my hometown.
Where Duplicate we don't consider Duplicate a major highway. I'm trying to say,
it's a major highway.
But let me say,
yeah,
let me
it's okay to eat your words, but don't move the goalposts.
But let me spin it by 1 minute. Why every time I call you come? Listen, the highway we know on that particular side right now as we speak, there are yellow machines on the road from Nimba all the way to Zweju to River D. We know that there are yellow machines on the road right now between Grand Bassa and Riverside County. So we know that Joseph Boakai is living up to expectation. We had only 25. We only have 25. What you call it, electricity. He went to Cote d'Ivoire. He came back. He augmented it to 50. So right now the entire Liberia and the Southeast can get electricity. All we need now is distribution.
Yeah, that
so
is not true. That is
on.
not true. The World Bank
So
reported
John, can I come in, please?
I think can get.
We had about 33.2%.
Let me bring him our callers here. The first is Trokon Bayo. Trokon, you are live.
Good evening, everyone.
1 minute,
for the
please.
show tonight. Yeah, thank you. I will be brief, maybe less than 1 minute. First of all, I want to say the Boakai administration did something that I really want to appreciate. We, coordinated with China for China to resume all those projects that put on hold because we put that against it at the United Nations, which I felt was a real bad foreign policy decision we made at that time. Because we were voting for America's interest and Liberia's interest. So I want to give them a part for that. And the second thing here is that we have when Weah came into power, let's not forget that Ebola broke down heavy administration. The economy wrecked the economy. A lot of Liberians died from Ebola. During Weah time, we experienced COVID, which was even worse than Ebola, and the Weah administration did extremely well. Liberia dodged that sickness that was killing millions of people around the world. So we're supposed to at least praise the Weah administration for that. So, having said that, I think we can criticize, but let us be a little bit reasonable.
Thank you.
And be analytical, and then we can put points in place, and our conversation will be much more logical than to say the person has done nothing. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me bring on Mr. Michael Patmo. Go ahead, Michael. 1 minute. If you hear the bell, you mean your time is up.
Thank you so much. So first, I will reflect on April 12th. I remember it very well. I remember my family going into hiding, and I remember us losing several family members.
I thought you said I'm older than you. How you remember it?
Because I have more retentive memory, and I get anxious. But concerning what we are left for Boakai, and I listened to my colleague talk about how the Unity Party left buildings for Weah so the government wouldn't rent. So are we supposed to start listing the NPA, brand new NPA headquarters that we have built, and several other governmental structures? Are we supposed to list the Emirates Hospital in Buffalo that we are left for Boakai, or the 14 military hospital? So for us, when we step up and say we are did absolutely nothing, it forces some of us who really, really talk against Weah to come out and defend him and lead to that point. Now, what is Boakai doing with that? We have seen no changes, nothing but the same. Boakai is bloating government. Boakai is made unaccountable with money spent. Boakai is hiding resources. And so we are seeing nothing different from what Boakai is doing, what he has been handed. And that's where we stand right now.
Thank you.
I'm before the bell, so thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's bring in Flomo Livingston.
Yeah, hello?
Go ahead, Flomo.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ja. No, I just want to correct Excellency. I mean, he made some statement which he didn't provide no evidence. According to him, the 150 million we are putting out for public sector want to create jobs. That's what we are project. It was not in a budget where it will go to various ministry to implement those. It was we are project I want to create 150 million. And can you provide me any evidence what $150 million created a job for laborers, $150 million. So President Boakai did well by bringing it down to $51 million. And you talking about other places, the core budget, where they added, the Ministry of Education, the budget was over $100 and some more million. Honor Joe, we were like $90 million plus. That's an addition. They help centers. It was addition. When it comes to electricity, we LeBron will have problems with a job. I was just in LeBron. People don't want to pay their bills. If this success why we die, there are people who everything like they are wired because they're not paying their bills. That's why they went and buy like the Chinese wire. I want to see most of the fire I catch on the horses because the cheap wire they went and buy it because they don't want to pay their bills, but they expecting to get free thing. And only in most of the lives fight. I mean, electricity power is happening. In Canada, nothing like that. The electricity is stable. In Lima, in Grand Bassa, in Banga, very stable. So what I'm trying to say is, look, John, we are left a mess in our country there. A totally mess. Everything is structured. Imagine today. Let me tell you this.
You hear the bell?
Let me tell you this. No, I didn't hear. Let me tell you this. The chief boss said, the 9,000 plus, like the Gosling, 166 have the same bank account. You tell me that, is that possible for 166 people to have the same bank account? Thank you, Mr. John.
Thank you. Let me bring on Bendu. Go ahead, Bendu, you're live.
Hi, Brother, how are you?
Good.
Yeah, how are you? How you doing? Thank you for the show. Before I get started, I must first of all give thanks to God that we have social media and we have a means now that we can give some accountability from our people. This has really helped our country and it's going to be better. We're not going to go back to 1847 or to 1973 where our government would do things and nobody can hear what they're doing and nobody can hold them accountable. Well, I think one of the reasons that people are holding Boakai to a higher esteem is that because he's been in government. He been at the hierarchy of the government. He been in the presidency. And so he's at a different level as compared to anybody else who have been in power. And we expect more of him, period. And one thing I see he's doing here is, I don't think he have any idea on how to bring peace to this country. And I stand by it. Because he told our government that people are really divided. If you listen to Liberians talking, the animosity, the division is like, it's so wide. We need leadership. We need a president to come out and say that we are all one. And I've not heard that from Boakai. And I think he's playing into the politics, everyday politics, which he needs to hold himself above that. as far as development, as far as what he meant, it is what it is. That's our country. He's going to do better. We're going to hold them accountable, and hopefully that they will do better. One important thing we need to do is individuals, ourselves. We need to hold ourselves accountable. When you got a job, do it. You don't have to wait for the president or your minister. When you get the reason you take the job is because you want to make a difference. Do your job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let me bring on one wireless caller, 718 area code. Your name and where you calling from?
Let me bring on one wireless caller.
Please turn off what you're watching, what you're listening to us from, and then go ahead. Just turn it off. Okay, let me go to the next caller. We'll come back when you prove that. Solomon Simpson.
Good evening, Mr. Jah, and to the rest of the panelists. The conversation this evening. I'm just going to be quick, brief. I think the Weah administration miscalculated on their 90 days delivery.
100 days.
100 days, thank you. You know, it's almost like we have this full-time team, and we practice every time, but then we plan for a game, and then we say, okay, when the game comes, we beat this guys there. Then when the game comes, nobody knows what position they're playing, everybody want to see. As soon as football gets it, everybody join the big we are without playing, and we lose the game. And that's the government came into power. Because once you are running an election, you should have people in position, like you have your cabinet already set up. So that way, when you win the election, you're not thinking. If there are one or two changes you made, but then they will not teach and never care as to you for putting people in places and changing it overnight. But the cars are not being stocked in 100 days. That is unrealistic. You understand me? And so if they were going to do a feasibility study as to the important things that they can obtain within the 100 days, we wouldn't be having this kind of conversation this early. Yeah. You know, or they misplaced all those things. They did not understand exactly what the country needed in 100 days that they can actually obtain. So they start throwing labels of things that they think they can say to give or win the election. And that's where the problem becomes. Now, within the 100 days, what do we have? Asset declaration, I guess it was mentioned there. Asset have been declared but not public. What are you waiting for? These are things that we are looking at. So, I mean, not to take the rest of the time, you can clearly see that their 100 days were misplaced. The key things that are easily accessible and obtainable within 100 days were not mentioned, and they went so high until now. They cannot obtain most of the things, but they are doing well in sense of working to bring economic crime scores and stuff like that. So yeah, so far so good. They are still early in the game, but we give them a chance to see.
Thank you. Our last caller here, 718 area code. Just turn off what you are watching us from, or what you are using to monitor the show. Go ahead. Your name and where you calling from.
My name is Moses from Panelist. I'm calling from Minnesota.
Go ahead, Moses.
And it is unfortunate that most of you who come on the show, you don't even know what is happening in Nigeria, because you are even listening to the very weekly briefing that is given by the very secretarial representatives. These people are telling you exactly what they are doing. Even on the road network, all the major roads, Bonjama Road, Nima Road, Tano Road, as far as Grand Bogo Road, all the roads right now have yellow machine on there and they are working. Okay. So you have to do your research before you get them and say the people are not doing anything. That is very unfair.
Thank you.
Try to listen to the very weekly briefing, and you'll be informed.
Thank you. And I like how you name all the roads. You know, when they say when the man come home and you say you killed deer, don't argue with him. Just wait when the old man cook at night. So all the yellow machine you talk about, hey, I'm going back. I want to go sign up. Let me see. All right, gentlemen, those were from our callers here.
Quick now.
Okay. Yeah, Samson spoke already. That's all. That's all. What we have. I want us to go around the room and end the program with your closing comments and everything else. You know, when water stays too long in the mouth, it turns to spit.
Well, please hurry up.
Yeah, Mr. Washington, let me get your response to our callers. What do you make of them? What do you make of some of the calls? You are muted.
I think the callers were diverse in most of the things they said. My only peak was on one caller, and that was the female caller. Because sometimes when I listen to Nigerians when they talk about unity, I think what in my thinking, in my opinion, they are just talking about uniformity. Does it keep emphasizing the fact, the country is divided, because people have the voice to speak, and people have to talk, people have to say what is on their mind, and we would not all say the same thing. People would say different things. For me, I don't think we're divided. We don't have to say the same thing that everybody's saying. The fact that we don't say the same does not mean that we're divided. I mean, there's something that binds us as Liberians, and that's hold us all together. But unity does not mean uniformity. And we can be diverse in what we say, we can be diverse in the things we do, but we can still be united. And, with our different opinions. So, and that's what I thought. And I've heard a lot of people say that the country is divided, based on elections. I don't see it that way. I just think that people have now with social media, people have to wait to be able to voice what is on their minds, and that's a very good thing. I mean, we're not in the era again where people want to get angry to go in the bush and take guns and come and shoot. Now people can voice what is on their mind, and that's something good. And I think that's a sign of unity. That's not division. So, and that's the point I wanted to make here.
Well, thank you. Let me give the opportunity also to Siwula Kennedy to respond to our callers, and then we can go around the room for closing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jar. Let me first start by saying, like some of the callers said, the Unity Party-led government does not have any excuse for the late formation of government we're talking about, because, as everybody said, we expect so much of this president. I'm a Unity partisans, and expect so much from Honorable Joseph Boakai as president of the Republic of Liberia. There is in no way and at no time that we should have waited for government to take over before we start the formation of government. When you're in an election that we just ended, there shall have been a shadow government put in place already. When we say we want to do 100-day deliverable, it means that we already have the people who will be doing those work put in place before we even got inaugurated, because we already know that we've won the election, or we are going to win the election, given what we're headed to. So I agree with some of the callers who are saying those things. And when it comes to being divided, Liberia is already divided when it comes to this tribal politics and all that kind of stuff. But when you look at the election result, again, I agree with the callers, because election result shows that the country is almost divided on a 50-50 basis based on political party thing. But what will bring that unity back in the country will be what our most experienced president, Honorable Joseph Boakai, will do to bring that country back together, because the division stands from, okay, I'm a CDC or Unity partisans. And those things can be correlated where we can come together again and see ourselves as Liberian, not only as partisans of one party, but for the greater group of our country. So I agree with most of the callers who have made those salient points, and thanks to them.
Yeah, I'm just curious to see what Mr. Gaiman says to the callers. Mr. Gaiman.
Yes, sir.
The callers are saying exactly what I have always said. This government came to power on lies, and they will continue to lie. For instance, Mr. Livingston said Grand Bassa County is electrified. I just came from Buchanan 2 weeks ago. There is no electricity in Grand Bassa County yet. Our Senator Besangafile made it his plan, and he spoke in the well of the Senate that he is going to be working with the Worker government and the Senate pro tem, that we do have the electricity, they call it a substation in Bassa, but we do not have electricity in Bassa, that they will go ahead and now beginning to plant electrical poles and extend electricity to Grand Bassa. There's no part of Grand Bassa County that has electricity. So just a point of correction.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tonight. Let me, tomorrow at 3 p.m., join us for FOL Marketplace. If you look at the concession agreements in Liberia, the terms, some are 65 years, 35 years. So we're going to be looking at Liberia concessions, especially the terms of agreement. What is it that we are signing? What does that mean for the country and its future? Then at 7 p.m. on the History Channel, we're going to be talking about Liberian Rubber Company concession terms, 1911. You don't want to miss that. It's happening right here on Focus on Liberia. I'll be hosting. Well, gentlemen, again, thank you so much for tonight. We'll now go around the room for your closing. Let me start with Aliu. On mute, please. Oh, you said
mute.
Okay, go ahead, Aliu.
Yeah, I hope and pray that I will be allowed to finish my point. You see, you can just look at me and just mute me. I can't even be looking at the screen. I don't even know I'm muted.
You're taking away your time.
Dennis, you gotta respect me, seriously. But anyway,
mute me. I said mute me.
No, Dennis is disrespectful to me. You gotta respect me. But anyway, here's what I have to say. Joseph Yuma Boakai's administration is on track, and I agree with Father Washington. He's been very honest today. Normally he goes after Joe Boakai, but today he's showing to me that, where he sees the fact, he states it. Out of the road projects that are currently going on in the hinterland, 4 companies are carrying on those roads. They're all Liberian-owned.
Hinterland is an old word. We don't use that anymore.
Okay, am I allowed to use the words that I want to use?
You can use your own diction. Go ahead, sir.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So all 4, not just 4, all the 4 companies that are grading those roads right now are all Liberian-owned, unprecedented. Give that to Joseph Yuma Boakai. Yeah, I agree with my comrades that the formation of the government was totally a little bit off. But then, in so doing also, we must recognize that mistake was made, and there are consequences when mistakes are made. The health minister took over not quite 2 months ago. We cannot rate the health sector, in as much she has traveled almost 15 counties and visited all major hospitals, and she has come to town to meet the Honorable Joseph Boakai and say, here is my assessment, and I believe here is the way to go. The public health sector in Liberia, they are currently compiling everything they need. Mr. Ismail said, give them time. I know Dennis Jai and the political Budo just want to trash. But unrealistically at that, let me remind you that just these few days since Joseph Boakai took over, there are signs of decency in Liberia. There are some semblance of rule of law. Maybe, Dennis, you haven't been to Liberia since George Weah took over, and comparing that with what Ellen left. If any of you live in these 2 administrations, where I didn't live in George Weah administration, but I go to Liberia every year, there is a significant difference between the 2 administrations. And as I speak to you, electricity now runs, I don't live too far from the vice president, but electricity now runs as far as Tower Hill is almost in Habel. Just in the short time that Joseph Boakai came, before Joseph Boakai is stopped at rehab to Mr. Given in office, in short time, he almost in Habel. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, so the technical modalities are being put in place. Hold your horses. If you go to Liberia now, you will see things on track.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nawe.
Yes, thank you very much, Dennis. Quickly, I'd like to clarify here at the beginning of the program. Mr. Kamara here indicated that I'm leaning towards the Unity Party, and I have to clarify that. That is 100% untrue. That is not happening. But listen, I let me point out here. You know, the minimalists, some of them are calling in, writing in, the trolling us and talking about the achievement of Joseph, Boakai since he came into office. Yes, if you're a small-minded person, then of course, paying government employees is an achievement, or appointing people in government is an achievement. That is not. Look, the president of Senegal has already constituted his government. When was he elected? Early April this month. It's taking this president forever. Is that what we should be praising him for? No. I am looking for the time when Fargon and Pia will not be sitting in the same room when he is the LBS director and he is the minister of information. If the two of them are sitting together, then why do we have the two of them as separate entities? Why is this president still perpetuating this big government? This is what we're talking about. We want him to make the bold moves and make a break from business as usual. He's not doing that. That's not what he's doing. If he is still appointing sitting mayor all the way in Barobo or wherever, that is not a president who is going to change course. Take it from me. Yes, I want this president to succeed because if he does, Liberia succeeds. But he is not showing to me in any way or shape or form that this is what he's going to. He is doing the same old things. Why is he appointing 20 persons to a board? For what? For what? And we should come here and clap our hands and say, yeah, he's doing well. No, he's not. No, he is not. He knows better. He is capable. They're being lazy. They're just playing the same old playbook. And so until they get it right, we'll continue to call them out. And yes, if they do some good things, we will tell them. I've already said that. The workaround code is a good attempt. We hope it succeeds. But we want this president to make the bold moves and give us the out of this world pronouncement and action. That's what we're looking for.
Thank you.
What we're looking for. So until he does that, yes, every time I sit down here, I will say it. Until he does something different that is praiseworthy, I won't praise him. Thank you.
Dennis, I will go here. I want to say
the board is over 32%. I'm like, how are they going to do it? Are they going to sit down in a place and talk, or how? It's a conference. Go ahead, Mr. CEO, you're closing.
I know Mr. J. Victor Namwe is now focused on Liberia political analyst. Mr. Namwe have shown, deep understanding of our politics. He has also shown a depth of knowledge and has provided balanced analysis on the political issues that we have been discussing here. He comes from the progressive days, from LPP to CPP, and now
UPP, not LPP.
UPP. Yeah, UPP and now the CPP. Mr. Namwe is now focused on Liberia political analyst. And Mr. Namwe, we are focused on Liberia. Want to congratulate you for the contribution you are making, not only to focus on Liberia, but also to the Liberian people. Thank you very much for accepting that role, and we know you're going to do well. Dennis, I will close like this. Unity Party is not new to politics, let alone Joseph Yema Boakai. We can't beat the Unity Party down so much on this flap when they started organizing the government. Boakai got elected and came to America, and you're watching TV, you're watching Arsenal game, and he was just chilling all around here. This man should know more than any of us the seriousness that comes with the responsibility. This is the president who told us that the presidency is not for a boy. But this man got elected. President Weah considered he knew he was president that very day, and he started watching football game. Mr. Boakai did not appoint a single person until the second day in office as president. Mr. Boakai fooled his entire support base that he had means to announce, just to realize on day one that he had none. And so the first names that came, Mr. Boakai had no idea who those individuals were except for Grace, his body. This is a fact. I have information that I get from it. I'm the political guy. I focus on Liberia. We are trusted, so people give our information. I don't care how Aliu laughs. So we expect the Unity Party to do better. They had a very rough start. We are urging them to do better. We want bold actions. We don't want excuses. They have 12 years of experience, and so we are not expecting nothing less. I rest my case.
Thank you. Mr. Jabate.
Yeah, thanks for having me tonight. It's good to be here. I just like to talk to our Liberian people. The sedition did not expect to be in opposition at this time. So they thought it was going to be 2029 for re-election, but unfortunately, the Liberian people told them otherwise. So my fellow Liberian, I'm going to say something. We all need to come together, whether you are sedition, LPP, or whatever the case may be. Whenever there's a new president, we should all rally around our president and hope that they do better. Do not listen to the other people that are so bitter and will always come to criticize and say that it's always gloomy, it's always dark. We are going to hold this government accountable. Those of us that campaign for this government, we are going to hold them accountable. On the other hand, do not let them make you think that 3 months is equivalent to 6 years. We know that the president made some promises before he got into office. But sometimes when you're outside looking in as like spectator, you outside, you think what the number 6 is doing, you can do it better. But when you get under and you see the destruction that it did to this country, you tend to face the reality and say, we have to dig deeper. So please, whatever party you are from, let's band together and hold this government accountable, but do not let those people that are bitter to fool you to think that there's nothing going on. This president will be a legacy president. First, we see the resolution has passed both chambers, and they want to tell you there is Vlad. Some of them said it was never going to happen, not even a resolution. The resolution has passed both chambers, it's gone to the executive. Now they are saying, oh, it's just Vlad, it will not even be established. Keep the faith. Let's be one Liberia and hold this government accountable, but also be optimistic. Do not let them make you depressed. They did not expect to be in opposition by now. Thank you.
What a difference 3 months make. Now, now it's a bad thing to hold the government accountable. Let me go to Mr. Gaiman. Mr. Gaiman, you're closing.
Yeah, thank you very much. For me, you know what my closing would be. I told you from the beginning that Joseph Boakai was no different. He was going to be a failure, and he is a failure. Joseph Boakai promised that when he comes to power, the first 90 days, there will be 10,000 jobs for the young people in high tech. Forget it, they're not talking about that anymore. We talk about 90 days that there will be no car stuck on the road. We can't talk about that anymore. He talked about looking over the 66 bogus concession agreement that he oversaw as president of the Senate that was signed. He's not talking about that anymore. We are talking about the Port Authority, where I sent my car 2 months ago, and I had to pay $7,000 to that port to free my car. They said they were going to oversee these things and overhaul them. Nothing has happened. This is the bread and butter issue, where the common Liberian that send their things to Liberia get burned at that port. And we wanted change. They said they were going to do it. It has not happened. So, Joseph Boakai is running an illegal government. The law says before you get into office, any office, you have to declare your assets. Joseph Boakai promised us that was going to happen. Everybody he appointed. Today, Mr. Graceby, the police chief, the Minister of Education, Minister of Health, Minister of Information, nobody has declared anything. So these people are illegally working. And this is terrible. Joseph Boakai set a bad precedent by lying to the Liberian people that he was going to declare his assets and publish it. He did neither one of them before he took office.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Aliu.
Yeah.
Oh,
I already closed.
Oh, sorry.
You were the first.
Kennedy.
Thank you very much. When we're talking about President Joseph Boakai, let's know that he's the president of the Republic of Liberia. and let's also learn to respect the office of the president. You know, when Brother CS said Joseph Boakai came here when he was elected, he was watching a game. You know, it's kind of free talk to say the kind of thing on this kind of media, but it is wrong. I was fortunate to have been in the same hotel with Joseph Boakai, that's someone who couldn't sleep. All day, all night, he was hosting meetings for the sake of Liberia in DC when he came after the election. And for people to sit down on this kind of media, where thousands of people are listening to us and we say things because we want to say it, it is totally wrong of people. Joseph Boakai is for Liberia, and he wants to change this country for good. There are a lot of things that have happened in the past, especially just George Weah led government. You know what was left behind? A completed messy system, and he has come to change it for the better. So let's work together. Joseph Boakai told us, think Liberia, love Liberia, and build Liberia. This is the time to build Liberia, and that's why you can see today the War Crime Court. As you all have said, we're all celebrating that today. It has passed the two chambers. It has gone to the president's desk. This is a serious government. It's not one of those play thing. And when I see people talk about, oh, you want to compare George Weah government to Joseph Boakai government just on 90 days, it's a shame. We should see that because that shows that Joseph Boakai is going to surpass everything that happened in a few decades beyond. Because he's going to make sure he bring Liberia to where it should be brought, where we can be respected in the community of nations. Mr. Ja, I want to say thank you very much for having me here tonight. And I'm very, very glad that we all can come here and stretch muscle. But let's please preach truth to our country and to the younger ones who are listening to us, because it's very important when we come here to stay true, to make sure that Liberia is safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Father Washington.
Thank you, Mr. Ja. I think it's been a healthy exchange, and thanks for the opportunity that we can provide education and information for our people. My final thing would be now with the fire incidents in Liberia, I would just urge our government to declare a national disaster, provide a lot of education for the people, because I don't know what they're waiting for. If somebody dies in this fire thing before they will start taking action, I think it's time now to provide a lot of education. I know LEC said they have provided education, but I think we need to do more so that people will not, somebody will not die before we can put this thing under control. But it's been a great show, and thanks for giving the opportunity to be able to share some information for our people today.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Can I just one second, please?
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, no, I wanted to thank the team, for this assignment. I'm flattered and I'm honored, and thank you all very much. Thank you to you, thanks to Anthony and the rest of the team. Now I gotta get ready for my confirmation. Thanks to Alio, especially for nominating me. I know he did. But thank you very much.
if the same people who recruited you will confirm you, then it's easy.
I know, right?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Jimmy, and thank you so much for accepting. Jimmy, you're closing.
Yeah, my observation of our whole discourse is that we're too fragmented and segmented. We're supposed to have a wholesome goal. In other words, when one administration comes, they achieve some of those national goals and pass the baton on to the next administration. But I don't see a national plan. We're supposed to have an aim to bring down the infant mortality rate to 1 a year, or the educational rate and truancy rate to negligible. We don't have national goals that each successive administration can espouse and aim toward. We're too fragmented. One politics does not bring about development. What brings about development is in a structural enhancement of our goals and our efforts. For every new administration, we're looking to tear them down instead of helping them achieve another national goal. And if we continue on this trajectory that we don't help each other to achieve a national goal, we'll be like crabs in the bucket. Every time another administration comes, it is an opportunity to achieve another national goal. And I think we need to develop these goals and challenge each administration so we can achieve them, and not look to bring them down, but look, because we're so far down the ladder, we need to help each other achieve things for the country so we all benefit. This, what we've been doing, tearing each other down, is not wholesome. And I don't see us going anywhere if we continue.
On that note, I want to say thank you, gentlemen, for the night. I want to thank our viewers for watching. At this time, we close our broadcast with the song that says, "We are all Liberians." Have a good night, and God bless you.
We all